Hey, everyone. So, I want to talk about one of my favorite franchises, and that's the Vacation franchise. I am not including the 2015 reboot, and I'm definitely not including Christmas Vacation 2. Though I would rather watch that than the 2015 reboot and the short Hotel Hell Vacation. But my main point is the four original films: National Lampoon's Vacation, European Vacation, Christmas, and Vegas. I also want to do a bit of a breakdown of each film and the foreshadowing, and also do a little ranking and wrap up the many missed opportunities to have more vacation films, and a couple of little secret vacations the Griswolds took. So, the first one, known for that iconic sword and sorcery inspired artwork, and they did the same thing with European. Like, that just tells you you're going to watch something iconic, classic, and legendary. Of course, the SNL legend icon Chevy Chase is in it, Beverly D'Angelo, and throughout the whole series, Audrey and Rusty were portrayed by different people.
Kind of like this series and what you want to do later.
So, the Griswolds are your, everyday American family. They love their country. They love each other. Sometimes they have a bit of a fight and all that, but everything comes back round and it's like, hey, we had a good time. Clark wants the perfect trip for his family, but no matter how much scheduling and planning, it's the vacation from hell. And it's based on a short story that John Hughes wrote based on his own personal vacation way back in the 50s. So, and then the National Lampoon magazine published it, and then they started making films, and this is like their biggest success. So, as you know, they get the car, it's pretty daggy, but it became iconic, and they want to go to Wally World, which is the film's answer to Disneyland. Clark's obsessed getting there. They go through America, have all these side trips. We get introduced to Cousin Eddie and his extended family. Then what could go wrong does go wrong, and it's great slapstick, like how things are set up and everything. Clark will yell out Russ, and he'll be right next to him or behind him. And, there's quite a bit of adult humor in there and adult context. Sometimes if it's on TV, they'll edit out a number of the boob shots and redub it. But if you got a DVD release, all the uncut stuff is there. So now they speak of Hawaii in the first film, and that comes back in Christmas Vacation. And I'll get to this point in a little bit. So, look, I love the original Vacation. It's a great comedy, and like many out there, Christmas Vacation is my favorite one, and I like Vegas over European. So yeah, like they go on the trip and the dog always attacking Clark, and then there's the scene where Dinky's tied to the car. It's like, oh no. And you see in the scene Chevy Chase and the cop, they're trying not to laugh. I mean, yeah, it's a awful situation, but it's a comedy, it's a little dark humor, and then of course Aunt Edna, like the actress didn't want to play such a horrible, mean character, but she's so good in the role. You know, you sort of grow to love Aunt Edna. You know, she's a standout in the film, and when she passes and she's on the roof and they're driving in the rain, it's like, oh, it's like that. I'm sure when everyone first saw it, that just brought so many laughs. They leave her on the porch. Of course, Clark has his meltdown, hence the title, Vacation Breakdown, because pretty much in every film, Clark has a bit of a mental episode. So he loses it, he swears, but they still get to Wally World. It's closed, and Clark goes nuts again, but it ends on a happy note. Now, we got European Vacation. It's not as great, but still got some good scenes like the Stonehenge scene, and how all the palms are sort of like, oh, that doesn't matter. Yeah, no harm done. It's all good. And Eric Idle's in there. Of course, he's getting scared and worried because he's hurt every time Clark's there. And then they go to France, and everyone's rude to him. You know, they say all this, and they don't like France. And then they go to Italy, and it's all nice. And of course, Clark's causing panic everywhere, and like another staple in the film, Clark will have his dream girl or his fantasy part. European Vacation, that doesn't happen. And like it comes back in Christmas Vacation, but it's not as much to the point as it was originally intended. And of course, Vegas Vacation, the original dream girl, returns. So they sort of tried to do something different, but still sort of went with that theme. And then, of course, the kids are different again. And going to speak about Christmas Vacation, as you can see, it's not the Conan the Barbarian inspired artwork. It's just Clark in a Santa suit, which doesn't happen in the film. He does wear the beard and hat though, but seeing him in the Santa suit would have been interesting. It's still a pretty cool cover, but seeing a post-apocalyptic Christmas cover will be interesting. And Vegas has a very similar cover. It's Clark on a massive roulette table. He does play one round of roulette, and if there was a scene with him on that spin game where you spin it, and if it whatever it lands on, then that would be funny. But you know, this is pretty cool cover. Like, again, a post-apocalyptic in Vegas cover will be good, but you know, each cover to each film is sort of unique. So, gonna talk about these now. And then in Christmas Vacation, you know, it's got a number of jokes. It doesn't have the nudity like the original and European does, but it's a little bit suggestive. It's still a bit raunchy. And of course, so many scenes in Christmas Vacation. Like, you got the lights everywhere on the house. He's trying to put them on, but the power's not on. So they go on, and he's like, I fixed it, and then someone turns it off. He has a breakdown, and then they turn on again. Everyone's overjoyed. Of course, he's ruined some of the display. Uncle Eddie Catherine and his two kids, or two of his many kids, they visit. They say they're going to be there for a whole month. The dog is under the table. The cat thinks that Aunt Bethany, Clark in the attic, watching the home films and getting the bored, him in the face multiple times. And, well, it's got some Seinfeld alumni in there. And they're a great addition. It's also got Everybody Loves Raymond alumni in there. So it's like a assembled collective film. And then Vegas, look, it has its moments. Like, you get annoyed with Clark, how he's trying to win big, but he loses more than he wins. He has a couple of wins. Rusty wins a whole lot at craps. He wins the 4 cars. You know, he's got his entourage. He's, living a lie. And basically his best time. Then Audrey, she's spending time with her cousin. She's dancing. And Eddie's there, he's got this amazing block of land. And, well, it's like Alan goes to Wade Newton. He's falling on her. So, she was kidnapped in European vacation. Clark didn't erase that tape. So there's pictures of her going everywhere. So she sort of leaves. So it's like, okay, are they going to break up? But no, they always resolve everything. And Clark doesn't really have a major breakdown in this film. But Christmas, he has that amazing one, how he's just letting everything out at his boss, for skipping out on the bonus. Of course, the bonus does happen in Vegas. We never see him get a pool, but just how he's like in Christmas, he's like that mean, lying, flushing, hopeless, brainless, wormhead sack, brainless, stiffless dog. He just goes wild. And apparently for that scene, they all had cue cards. So if you watch carefully, he's like looking at each one. He's like, brainless, dickless, sack, head, worm. It's just an amazing, amazing moment of comedy. And the fact that Chevy they say he delivered it in one take. Like, the footage you see is all from one take, and then, like, he's either redid it, or they cut to the other camera whilst he's still doing it. So it's just incredible how they got that scene done. And then afterwards, he's like, where's the Tylenol? And that breakdown references his other moment in the original. Like, after he goes a bit nuts, Rusty will be like, Dad, do you want an aspirin? So they reference each other. And the Hawaiian point is during Clark's fantasy, he's visualizing the pool, and then he sees the lingerie clerk girl. It's got the Hali Likamaka. Hopefully I've said that right. Anyway, will be here. They have that song, which is the Hawaiian Christmas song. And then when Clark has his other breakdown, he's got the chainsaw. You can hear Rusty go, I knew we should have went to Hawaii, so we didn't get a Hawaiian vacation, though Uncle Eddie's island vacation can be seen as Hawaiian vacation. Very, very loosely. And Vegas vacation was foreshadowed with Rocky's t-shirt. When he's introduced, he's wearing a Las Vegas t-shirt. And the next vacation is Vegas. So they set it up. But whereas Vegas sort of fell short, it didn't win the jackpot at the box office, but people respect it more than Uncle Eddie's Island Adventure, which very loosely is Hawaiian vacation. So, yeah, all the setups, Vegas it's got that really dumb scene at the dam. It gets really Looney Tune like. They could have edited it back and made it a bit better, or they could have just cut enough out to make it like, oh, Clark gets lost, he doubles back, and then he ends up going out one door and then he's outside. Because all of it is just like, I don't like that scene. But for the most part, it's a decent offering. It's got some good gags, like many people say Uncle Eddie helped it. And again, the casting, different Rusty and Audrey. So I will say Vegas Rusty is a bit too pervy. But Vegas Audrey, she's actually, pretty decent version of the character. She just wants to break free of certain things, find herself, and know her worth. And she gets the job, she learns to dance, and then, of course, hey, it's over. But yeah, Rusty, he's a bit perverted, sort of like European Audrey, who's just all in for Jack. Like the whole film, she's like, I miss Jack, I want Jack, I can't stop thinking of Jack. So that Audrey from European and then the Vegas Rusty, they sort of match better because they got similar desires. And I'd say, like the classic Rusty and Audrey, they were perfect. Like they were perfect. Perfect chemistry. European Rusty is a bit of a dork. He's sort of daggy. So he could work teamed better with, like, maybe Christmas Audrey, who's sort of like reserved and things, and it's like, oh no, so they sort of a little bit similar. Then Vegas Audrey, who, she's a bit older, she's more aware, she could work well with Christmas Rusty. Because he's well adjusted, he's well aware. And he's played by Leonard from Big Bang Theory. So, and he plays a very smart character, so yeah, that's my little ranking, little workout. And here's some fun stuff. In Christmas Vacation, we've got hints of how awesome a Halloween Vacation would have worked. Clark's got the chainsaw, he's wearing the hockey mask. Then when he's about to cut the neighbor's tree, he has that freak out killer face on. So we could have gotten Halloween Vacation. And then this sort of also works with the short film, Hotel Hell Vacation. So for a Halloween Vacation to work, they go somewhere, it's supposedly haunted, and there's like this murderer going around, and people think Clark is him because he's gone nuts and the family's left him, and they sort of think he's the psycho. But he turns out, no, he's not. He just had a bad day, and the people don't really like him, so they set up all these pranks either to catch him or to get him out of there. And that will be interesting and fun and cool. So it was very lightly touched on, like the idea and concept is there, like just very tiny. But it's the little details. And the Griswolds had a space vacation. You can thank Family Guy Blue Harvest for that, because you got a cameo of the Griswolds in space at the Death Star attack. And Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo reprised their roles and did the voice. So they went to space. We have Space Vacation. Again, very tiny, little detail, but It's there. And the Griswolds pretty much showed up in Twisted Metal 4. In the original Vacation, Clark has the computer up. We see the graphics of the car going, and then Rusty brings in his Pac-Man thing, and then Audrey brings in her little spaceship. So they're technically in a video game. And then Twisted Metal 4. And a vacation game would be awesome. Like, where else would they go? You know, they could go to China. And Clark ends up destroying the Great Wall. And, like, they go to some temples and a few other things happen. You know, they might mistake a family like they did in Germany for someone else, or like some friends. They might think, hey, that's them, but it's like, no. Or you might think someone's his co-worker. But no, it's like, you could write it yourself and just think of the possibilities. And then you might have Egypt vacation. They go there and Clark discovers another tomb. He destroys a mummy. He finds all this treasure. He causes the pyramids to fall over or something. Like, there's so much potential that they could have done. Like, you could only do this in animated features these days. You know, like, they could do like an African vacation, and they get lost in the jungle. You know, and Clark or the whole family gets captive again, or just, there's so many opportunities. Like, yeah, they could go everywhere in Africa, not just Egypt. Like, still go there, but it will be like European vacation, but they're in Africa and they go everywhere, and Clark gets chased by like lions or something. They go everywhere else, or South American vacation. They were meant to go to Australia, and who knows what could have happened down under. Clark stuffed up Ayers Rock. They go to have a picnic at Hanging Rock. That gets destroyed, or Clark falls in the hole. They reference the movie, and there's skeletons of the girls. You know, and if this was made back then, Steve Irwin would have been there to help out. So there's so many opportunities, and I think I need a vacation. I'll skip